Hi, I'm Sara Hey with Bob Clements International. I'm coming back to you with part number 5 of our 5-part series on seasonal ordering, brought to you by our friends at Ideal Computer Systems. Now, today's question is about how do I make sure I'm ordering my seasonal parts correctly? Now, typically what happens is we get to National Dealer Meeting in the fall and we say, okay, we're going to look into our crystal ball and decide what parts we need as we move through the year. And while that is all good and well and we're able to pick out discounts, which I would always encourage you to do, we've got to have a little more strategy in saying, here's what the plain stocking order is, I'll take it. So over the last few years, we've got to address the fact that we've all been hoarders. We've been hoarders, and it's been Hoarders Dealership Parts Edition, and rightfully so, because getting parts inside of the dealership has been excruciatingly hard over the last 3 years. But as we look at the inventory coming into parts, as we go into the 2023 season, the beautiful thing is I don't think it's going to be the case in such an extreme way. So we have some logical things we need to decide on in order to make logical decisions for your parts department. The first question you have to ask is, what are your phase in and phase out part order numbers? Okay, so when you have somebody come in and ask for a part, how many requests before you start putting it into your standard order for your inventory? For most dealerships, it's typically 3 demands in either 60 or 90 days, depending on where you are in season. If you are in the midst of peak season, and again, that will be different for everyone, we're probably going to err closer to that 60 days. So if you have 3 demands for something over 60 days, we're going to phase that in. Whereas if we're in a slower time of the year, 3 demands and 90 days is when we're going to phase that part into our standard or stocking inventory. Now, the opposite is true too. If we have less than 3 demands in 60 days or 90 days, depending on where you are in the year, we are going to start phasing that part out of our parts inventory. So when we're thinking about this, you've got to have a plan in place for your phase in and your phase out parts. The second thing you have to do when you're really coming up with this plan is you have to calculate your last part sales. Yes, your lost part sales. You may be like, Sara, I don't even know what a lost part sale is. Would you calm down for just a minute? No, I won't calm down, because this is critically important and one of the most overlooked things inside of running a parts department. Here's what I mean when I'm talking about a lost part sale. A customer walks up to the counter, they come in, they're real excited because they're walking up to you and something is broken that they need fixed. So they say, okay, great, I'm walking up to your parts counter and I need this part to get my unit up and going. Fantastic, you're a servicing dealer, you should have it, right? And you go, oh, bummer. Out of stock, probably the manufacturer's fault. Even if it's not the manufacturer's fault, that's where most dealers default. And they go, oh man, I can't believe it. I'm just gonna go order it online. You're like, man, everybody goes online anymore. No, it's because you didn't have the part in stock. That's why they're going online. And you move about your day and you don't ever note that that part would have been bought if you had it in stock. They didn't come in for a social call, they came in for the part. So you have to have a process in place inside of your business management system like Ideal to make sure that you are tracking your lost part sales, because that is a demand. Depending on the time of year, you can start moving your parts up or down with the amount of inventory you have. So when we hit the peak of our season, for most of you, which is in June or July, I want you to start thinking about burning down your parts inventory to about 30% of where it would be during your peak season. Okay, now when I say burning down your parts inventory, I'm not like actually saying catch it on fire, but come up with a strategy to make sure that we start moving our parts down in the amount that we have, so that when we hit the fall, we have money in lieu of parts to not only place new orders, but to help us get through slower season without having to go into our credit line. Now, this is an important thing that we've got to be thinking through when we think about the seasonality of parts ordering. Again, in Ideal, you have an easy button for this that I don't want you to miss. You have the ability to adjust your phase in and phase out numbers in your Ideal computer systems as you go through season. So this takes the guesswork out of the equation when you're looking at parts ordering and seasonality that goes with it. Make sure you come up with a plan that makes sense for your parts department, and as you walk through season, your parts will be one less thing that you have to worry about so intently.